What's up guys, and welcome back to the Jeep build. Well, if you saw the previous video, you know that we were basically just refurbishing, painting parts. But today we're going to start, or I'm going to start assembling the chassis. Now, we have got basically it's a chassis kit. It's brake lines, rubber mountings, just everything we need to get a rolling frame put together. So we've got everything kind of laid out where it goes. Front springs down there, rears are at the back there, obviously. Shackles and everything down here. Axles are still outside. They've had actually a couple of weeks to dry now, so I'm in two minds what to do. I'm not sure whether to do the assembly work out here, because we do have to take these drums and everything off. Not sure what has been done inside, so I may as well take a look just to see if there's brakes and everything in there. I mean, they spin quite freely. So I think the first order of the day will be to get the kits brought out and just get everything laid out. Yeah, I just need to make a plan of action up right now. It's obviously these are all the painted rims. They again have been sitting in here just to keep them out of the way. We've got a stockpile of stuff around the place, paints and what have you. So yeah. So I think, you know what? I think I might just get the axles mounted. Always do the brakes later. Yeah, I think that's the plan for today. Let's get the axles in, get the springs on, and get them actually mounted to the frame. Things may change though. You know how these things go. Okay, before I am racing ahead, what I've done is I went round and just pulled out all the parts for actually mounting the springs. Now, because, yeah, just to make sure that they're actually here, and yes they are. So they're the shackles, with the bolt that actually bolts through the frame, same over there, and same on the front. So, got all the other bits here which I already knew were there, so yeah. So, there we have the rear springs loosely in place. We've got those front mounting points hooked up. So what I'll do next is I'll lift the rear of the springs, put a couple of blocks under them to get them a few inches off the ground. Now I'll lift the axle in, sit it on the spring, and then we'll be able to bolt it up there, and then it'll make it easier just to lift it into place and get those rear shackles on. Then of course we'll repeat that with the front. So yeah. Well, we've got the axles manhandled in here now. That one's sitting roughly in place. This one, I still need to get the springs hooked up, but yeah, we'll get to that shortly. Meanwhile, I'm gonna stop for a cup of coffee and have a bit of a meander through these. I don't know what the other one is. Just to become familiar with some of the little eccentricities, because mechanicking is mechanicking. It's, you know, it's pretty basic stuff, but there are nuances. For example, those shackles that I painted earlier, the way they were mounted on this frame when it came in, just a quick glance through the manual, and that was incorrect. So I would have mounted them back on the same way as they came off, but no, and they were probably just put on that way just to roll it around, but nevertheless it's still an important distinction that has to be made. They were the wrong way around, and although they would work, from what I understand, they will actually basically wind themselves off, so they need to be put on the correct way. And it's little bits like that. That makes the difference. Anyway, kettle should be boiled. Let's go and get some coffee. Okay, so here we go. Ended up with tea because we're out of coffee. Didn't know that. My trusty old Power Stroke mug. And yeah, let's have a quick look through these. Now, I'm not sure what year this one is, but it, I don't know, this could be 1940s. Now, it is for the Willys version, and we're using predominantly Ford parts, but it's basically the same. There's not a lot of differences. So I'm not sure if you can read that, but basically what it's saying is that the two shackles with the left-handed threads, one goes to the front, was it? Okay, no, it's just front left and rear right, with the left-handed thread sections actually going into the spring itself. So yeah, see, this is what I was talking about. It's these little nuances that you need to be aware of. So I'm going to finish this cup of tea, have a quick look through this, and then we will go and get them mounted. That's a little interesting fact that where are we at? The shock absorbers. There. Make Monroe, rear Monroe. Huh. What do you know? Yeah, and like a lot of people on Monroe, to me is aftermarket, but yeah, guess they were doing stuff back in the war. Oh, will you look at that? We've got frame specifications. I love these old manuals, they just have so much information in them. Now, the reason why this is exciting, because when we come to build the replica World War II Jeep on the Suzuki chassis, we've actually got some dimensions to follow, you know, especially for such as, you know, like mounting points, etc. Very cool indeed. Well, springs now attached at one end, and we are about to roll the axle in. One question, and I think I've answered this before, but I don't remember, but one question I had last week actually, someone asked why I don't do the videos where I've basically got the camera set up and I record most of everything. Well, in all honesty, the simple answer is time. Setting the cameras up, getting everything right so that you can see what I'm doing, that all takes time. And because the Transit in particular is running so far behind schedule, everything I'm doing at the moment I need to get done quickly, and that doesn't leave much room for setting up cameras. Good example was when I did the Chevy. I think that was the last one I actually had cameras on the tripod and everything for. When I got dented last year, the actual setup time for the camera and everything and getting the different shots, I had added easily a couple of hours, even more, to the day. And it's just not practical to do that right now. I mean, that is something I do hope to get back to. And if there is anything really interesting, I'll definitely try and stick a camera on it and record what I'm doing. Such as these left-hand thread shackles. But for the majority of stuff, like bolting these axles on, I mean, it's just basic stuff. You know, roll it in, line it up, put the bolts on, you know, put the wheels on, lower it down. So, and when it comes to painting, I didn't really record any of the painting of this because, again, I did a whole series of videos when I was working on the Wolseley, and all of the steps I went through, and it's basically the same steps for this. The only difference is that we're using slightly different paint, but rather than the conventional, well, the more modern etcher and everything, this will be etched, but it will go into red oxide primer, which, keeping with the military theme, mainly as well because the red oxide, if you use grey, you get a different shade of green than if you use the red oxide. And because we're trying to get that military feel, we want to use what they used back in the day. So, and the green that we've got is a little bit transparent, so the primer undercoat does make a difference. So yeah, that answers that. So anyway, I'm going to get on, get this axle slid under, get it lined up and get it bolted on. So this is one of these interesting little aspects of this that I was talking about earlier. This is basically it almost, I guess it acts like a slapper bar on a drag car. You know, it bolts under here to the U-bolts actually go through it, and it comes up under the spring here, and then this here, there's a bracket that goes and joins them together. And I guess the idea is that it reduces any torque axle twist when if you're off road and you're trying to climb a steep hill or something like that. But yeah, it's just an interesting little piece of engineering, and yeah, thought it was cool, so stuck the camera on. Anyway, let's get it fitted. Well, there we are. We've still got the actual bracket that goes from there up to there. Don't actually have that. We've got that's got to be sourced still, but otherwise the axle's in place. So I'll get it jacked up and I'll get these front shackles in, put some air in those rims, those tyres, and yeah, we are in good shape. So let's continue. Well, there we go. We have a rolling chassis. Now I was going to put the track bar on across the front here, but it just needs a lot of work. It needs complete refurbishment, and it's like, you know what, I don't need to put that on. We can just we can move this about without having to mess about trying to keep the tyres straight. We did it before, we can do it again. So yeah, that's it. Tomorrow I'm going to roll this outside. So like I said earlier, I want to get all of these little bits, these little nooks and crannies that I've missed, I want to get them all painted. So, and there's a couple of areas that have gotten scratched on the springs, etc., but you know, that happens. And there we have it. So yeah, these are Suzuki rims. Did I mention that earlier? God, don't remember. Anyway, yeah, these are Suzuki rims. We're just using them to roll it around on because we have them, and the tyres hold air. So, yeah, Suzuki, the little 4x4 thing, Jimny or whatever they called it, I don't remember. Same lug pattern, 5-on-5. That's 5 bolts, 5 studs, and 5 inches apart. Although the diameter is, I'll look it up. It'll explain how to work out the diameter of the wheel studs. Anyway, yeah. Next is this front end. I think what I'm going to do is these wooden blocks, I'm actually going to set them under the frame here and over there. And that's where the transmission cross member goes on. And then it'll clear this whole front end up, and it'll be basically rinse and repeat. And we'll get this front end on, and again we'll get the rims on, and we will have a rolling chassis. Okay, so she is moving along there nicely. I've got that almost lined up on that side. I need to jiggle this side around a little bit and then get that spring up on the blocks. Right, I think I've got these up onto the blocks. I think once I've got the springs on the blocks, what I'm going to do is put the U-bolts on and just clamp them up hand tight. And that way I should be able to get the jack under the axle and raise it a little bit further, and then I can begin putting on shackles and what have you. Not putting on any shocks or anything just yet, just getting it into a rolling chassis. Did I mention this earlier? I'm not sure, but there's a couple of little areas that, well, you can see one just there where I need to get some more paint on. So I'm going to roll it outside where we've got just a lot better light. I know, just moving the camera around in here, it looks really bright, but that's just a crack camera, trust me, it isn't. That piece of red down there, standing here, you can't actually see that in real life. The camera picks it up fine, but yeah, I don't, and nobody else has noticed it either, so we're going to get bits like that shot, and then we'll be able to roll it back in here, give it overnight to dry, and then we're going to start assembly, brakes, etc. So yeah, moving along. Well, we have run into our first problem. Now, I'm working on that rear left corner, and yeah, if you look closely here, this is the plate for that back spring. Now the problem is this is a front one. If you look there, they are identical. Now I've got an old rear one, and if you put that alongside to compare, spot the difference. So what appears to have happened is when these were purchased and sent to us, rather than sending a front right and a rear left, they've sent us two front right. So yeah, options. Well, it does line up there. That lines up okay, but I don't know if you can see down there. Basically bolt holes don't line up, that's the issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit the old one for the time being, just so that I can roll it around, but I can see it better that way if I sit that on top of there. See those two line up okay, but that one there is in the wrong position. There's no hole there for that bolt, so, and that one of course is fine. So I'll stick this one on for the time being. I'll see Andy the owner, see what he wants to do, see if he wants to actually see if he can get a hold of the correct one, or whether or not he just wants to drill this one out. Either way it'll work. I mean, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't make that much difference. The only real difference being is the front one actually has it's wider on that section there. There's the, if you look there, see one of the U-bolts is wider, and that is because it actually has to go over that, it's part of the differential. So one goes over the tube here, one goes over the actual edge of the differential, so it is wider. Anyway, I'm going to put this this old one on for the time being and just keep things rolling along. Well, now I've got that nicely located. Obviously I've used that old bracket for the time being. So I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to roll the jack under. These are just hand tight, I haven't got those cranked up yet. But I'm going to roll the jack under and I'm going to lift this up into place, and then I'm going to double check on the manual where these shackles go. I'm pretty sure, if I recall, one goes to the driver's side, the front left, and the other one goes to the rear right. That's the actual, they've got the left hand thread on them. So I'm just going to double check that, but that's what I'm going to put on next. Oh, very interesting how this goes together. First of all, this outer sleeve here, it actually screws into the frame, and this goes in from behind, and so as you're screwing it into the frame, it also pulls this in. Where are we at? So yeah, when you like that, and you start screwing the outer nut in, and it pulls the two together. Yeah, and that will lock on the frame, but this thread will still remain loose, but it won't wind out. Huh. Interesting. This is one of the things I love about old engineering. Sometimes you just find some of the most unique solutions. And that's not a one I've come across before, and I think it's cool. But anyway, this is the one that actually is the left-hand thread. So yeah, that's the left-hand thread, and that goes there, which is the rear right-hand side. But apparently it is because they had issues with these unscrewing, and same with the front. So what they did was they put a left-hand thread on it, and it cured the problem. So yeah, cool. Good old engineering. Progress. Rear axle is now bolted up. And one thing I haven't done yet is I haven't torqued everything, because I'm going to wait until I've got the wheels on and there's some weight on it, and then we'll go around and torque everything once it's all basically bolted together. But we've now got the rear end ready to roll. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go over, put some air in these tyres, and I'll get some rims on the back there. So yeah. Well, here we are again. So obviously I've got the front of the tent open there. I'm going to push her outside, and plan is I'm just going to sit her around here somewhere, just so I can get some light into these areas that I missed. I might stick her up on jack stands, and yeah, get the spray gun over here, and then just yeah, give her a nice coat of paint, pick up all those areas that I missed. So yeah, seems like a good plan. Let's see if it pans out. Oh, I've got her outside now. Yeah, it's not too bad down there, but where you can really see, I mean, there's a little bit under there that I've missed. There's a bit in there. But this is where it's worst, in there. And there's, you know, there's a little bit, I think, under there somewhere, and there's a little bit in there. And there's bits and pieces here and there, but yeah. I mean, given how dark it was, I'm not concerned. I knew there would be some sections that I'd overlooked, so you know, that's how it goes. Houston, we have a problem. Oh, wait a moment, is that back on? We lost power here in the shop for the past 20-30 minutes. Could not get the compressor up and running. We had power to the lights and the door, but nothing to the sockets, power outlets. I just noticed that battery charger is now back on, so oh, wait a minute, I unplugged it. Let me plug this back in and try this compressor again. Oh. Hell yeah, we're business. Okay, we now got that fitted better. I will, however, take this back off when I'm painting stuff later, and I will prime all of these bare edges. The other thing I've got to do is somehow managed to put that front shackle on backwards yesterday, so I'm going to do that now, and then that's it, all that's sorted, and we'll continue with the assembly. Well guys, we've got quite a bit done here, and very happy with where we got to. So now I'm going to wrap the video up here. I know I have got a lot of footage, so I need to get it all figured out, and yeah, so there we are. So hope you're enjoying this. I will have some more updates on the Transit shortly. I haven't forgotten about it. I am still working on it, and yeah, so there we go. Like, subscribe, come back and see me sometime. Have a good one.